it wasn't a corporate job the one day and living on a sailboat at an anchorage bay the next day. So this is between these two situations were 10 to 15 years. And it were the small steps because I could only see the opportunities that I already allowed myself to see. If somebody lived a life that's completely different than mine, I could admire that and think, wow, I would really like to do that. But it didn't create an opportunity because I had no idea how to get there.
Welcome home to You Are the Compass with producer and host Jesse Clayton. This is a podcast about the turning points in life that awaken us to new directions and the inner guidance that helps us navigate them. Reset your headings as we dive deep with guest interviews, quick fine-tuned series, and inspiration from all corners of the globe. From wherever in the world you have joined from today, you have arrived. Guten Tag and welcome home to You Are the Compass. I have a question for our audience right off the bat, and I will turn the headings back at the end of this interview to see if your answer might have changed after we chat with our next guest. Cue the relatability, inspiration, and a no-fluff perspective. What does the word happiness mean to you? Now, this is not your outside world. It's just you on the most inner level of your being. Perhaps you have to take it back a few years in time to remember that feeling. That's okay. Just visualize and listen in. We are about to journey down a well-traveled path to come to a fork in the road. Let's start an adventure into the unknown with the only supplies you need being that to let go of the fears and to seek the simplicity of happiness. I'm going to take you into the chapter of my story first, the road just traveled, for how I met our next guest. It was through this amazing platform on the yellow brick road of digital world, connecting hosts and guests alike of the podcasting world through space and time, continents and oceans. It's Podmatch. I signed up and I just sat there thinking to myself, wow, what a day and age we live in. A few clicks into my subscription, I begin exploring to find guests for my show. And who's that I see on the members panel of noteworthy guests? It's Florian Hornig of Simplicity of Happiness. I pause my journey here to introduce you all to fellow adventurer, entrepreneur, and founder of a coaching project that has quite literally survived oceans and deserts to reach you. Florian, welcome home to You Are the Compass.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
Florian, I'm sure any one of your chapters our audience would love to listen along to. So can we start with your decision to change your story and leave Berlin? Tell us, how did you make such a choice in that point in your life?
Well, that's quite simple because I had everything that I dreamt of the last years and still wasn't happy about it. So, and when I say everything I had that I dreamt of, I just had to pause because when I look back even further, so when I was a kid or a teenager, I had these dreams of being an adventurer, of seeing the world, traveling the world. You could give me all kind of books about some kind of adventure or expedition, be it in Africa, or be it in Latin America, or be it in Asia. I could not put the book away. And if you gave me a book about a sailor sailing on an own boat around the world, I loved these stories. And at the same time, I knew this isn't for me because I'm coming from a small place in Germany and I have to go to school and I don't have the money. I don't have any to fund me and I'm not brave enough. So I had these dreams and these thoughts and was living a different life at the same time. And then one thing led to another, and I ended up in a corporate job. I was a headhunter for an American-based company. And at one point I thought, if I just make enough money and be successful enough that everybody can see it, then I can make my own decisions just for myself. So I was basically living in a suit. I was flying across Europe every week. I had my penthouse style apartment in Berlin overlooking overlooking Berlin. I married what I thought back then the most interesting woman that I'd met so far. And then I didn't like it. So I didn't get along with my back then wife anymore. She was expecting something completely different because I thought, well, the more successful I am, the more I can go into explore some part of the world and travel. But she saw that business side of me and she wanted more of that. And so she was completely unhappy with me. I was frustrated because I had this nice apartment that I could barely see because I had to work all the time to fund all of that. And the more I worked, the more I spent. And in the end, I felt like a big imposter. I thought that one day they are going to find out that all of this is made up. So because the apartment isn't mine, I don't own it. The job is just what do I do in the job? I don't produce anything. I'm just talking to people. And then everything fell apart. So there was a big financial crisis. The market went down. The job got more difficult. I split up. We separated. And that was a time when I realized, well, it can't get any worse than this. At least that's what it felt like. Now you can as well do what you ever wanted to do. So I changed my career away from the corporate headhunting side to a coaching individual perspective. On the one hand, I really enjoyed that. On the other hand, I started to ask myself these questions. So there was a combination of having these unanswered questions in my mind that I normally asked my clients and that I turned on myself. And on the other hand, that I thought, well, I don't have to prove anything to anyone anymore because I failed in everything anyway. I thought I let my parents, my surroundings down because everything that I created so far is just, all these suits and all the income, and I realized it can just all be away in a minute. So this is when I sat down and I asked myself a very interesting question. What would I do if somebody paid me the same money that I earned so far for as long as I want? And all I have to do, I have to prove them that I love what I'm doing. What would I do?
I love that.
And then I thought, well, if I had the same money like now, I would go on vacation for the rest of my life. So, and then I thought, okay, well, if I want to go on vacation, where would I go? And the more I thought about this, I figured out that I'd be bored wherever I go, even if it's the most luxurious surrounding and somewhere in the south or on an island. If I could go diving every day, yeah, well, after a time, it depends on how interesting the place is. It might take a little longer, but at one point, I have seen it all. And could I be happy doing that? And that was when the whole happiness thing arrived, because I realized that if a person is absolutely happy with where they are and what they have, would they change anything? Probably not. Yeah. And all of a sudden, I realized it's not about the success, it's not about the money, it's not about the family, it's not about the friends, it's about whether you are happy with that or not. And if somebody has a lot of money and you give them, and he's not happy, giving him more money.
Exactly.
I have a friend in mind who has quite a couple of millions, and he's super unhappy because he thought he needs to have another 2 million until he's happy. But what he's reaching for is not the other 2 million, it's the being happy. I came to two different conclusions. So happiness is not the complicated thing. So because the more you add, the more distraction there is, the more things that you need to care about, the more things there are that you can lose or that you have to worry about or that can break or that you have to pay for. So happiness is, you can be happy with just yourself. And that's when the simplicity of happiness came in, because I realized that if you take all the distraction away, if you take away everything that is like distracting you from the one thing that you really want to do, then you can be you can be happy. That's
Can
when
we
I
jump back into
yeah.
the childhood reading with the books? Because one of the things that keeps coming up for me is that we read these books when we're children, and you know, you've got the heroes and the heroines living these amazing adventures, and like you said, we can't put the book down. What do you think kept you reading and kept you engaged? Out of all the adventures that they have across the world, across the oceans, what do you think the main theme that keeps getting repeated over?
Yeah, I think from my personal point of view, there are two main themes or motivations or values that I saw in them. And that is the interesting thing, because I have changed my life to traveling a lot, and I have been places that I dreamt of as a child by now. And a lot of these stories have been demystified by now, because when I read the book, I only saw what they wrote. So I mean, all these boring days in between, they might not have written down. So what I saw is two things: freedom and
That's the one.
curiosity. So I think especially the curiosity, because you could be free and don't go anywhere. And like that idea of exploring the unknown, about getting to know things that are unusual to me. And this is why I am not so interested in being a scientist and going into a lab every day, where you could discover something new as well. So I wanted to go to faraway places, faraway cultures where things are different, that shakes up my world of normality. And I think that is the Germany that I grew up back then in the 80s. Germany was divided. There was West Germany and East Germany, two different countries, and the West German part, it flourished, and it had a decades of growth and stability behind it, and everything went upwards. And so this is the way we do it. This is the way we have always done it. And you get your education, you go to university. Looking back 50 years, most of the people, they were somehow craftsmen. They were doing jobs with their hands. Germany used to outsource lots of that to different countries. And so the real jobs, the one where you make money, are academic jobs, so that you have to go to university, and then you have to go and work for a company, and you don't work with your hands. You are sitting in the office, and you're wearing a suit, and you're having that income, you're earning that money. You buy a house with a garden, and you have two cars. And so the typical German way to do things, like the golden 80s.
I call it the
And
white picket fence.
yes, yes, I thought that's normal. And I was so attracted by the possibility that life can be different. And maybe that's also adding that freedom, that you don't have to do it this way because that's the way all the Germans do it. No, you can choose, do I want this or do I want something else? And I realized that although I like to read these books, my personal horizon, my mind, I saw the other possibilities when I read a book or when I heard about it, but I did not apply it to myself, because I was taught to meet the expectation of others, the
Yeah.
expectation of society, of my parents, family, school, teachers, friends. And that's probably a reason why these reading these books
It was your escape.
gave me gave me an alternative and created hope
Mm.
for myself. And until my 30s, I did not live up to that.
Mm. See, I went the opposite way. I had a totally different upbringing. Um, we used to sail, for 3 months of the year when I was very young. My dad launched our boat when I was 2, and I was always taught to challenge people, challenge what
Hmm.
learnings I was being put in front of, challenge what schools I was going to, and what education was put in front of me. And then I wanted the total opposite to what I had been brought up with. I wanted that white picket fence. I wanted that
Hmm.
Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 lifestyle and the marriage and everything. And I had all that, and then realized that that's not what I wanted. And I just reverted back to my childhood self. And like you said, you seek out the adventure, you seek curiosity and that innate feeling of being childlike and that sense of wonder that we want to go and explore the world and go off
Hmm.
and create something new for ourselves. Do you think society's realizing that a lot sooner than what maybe you and I were brought up with?
You mean with society? You mean whom
Society
and where?
today, well, the kids, adults, workplaces, they're a little bit more engaged in a different way of life, that everything doesn't have to be what it seems, because it's not.
Yeah. Yes and no. So after I changed the way I live, and when I started traveling, and so I went on a solo tour by foot in the Sahara
Mm.
Desert, and then I lived in a camper van and worked from there, and traveled throughout Europe and all the way to the Moroccan Sahara, and later lived for a while in Zanzibar. And these are places where you can't buy so many things, because in Zanzibar there were no shops. When I went from Zanzibar to mainland Tanzania, which Zanzibar is a part of Tanzania, but it's semi-autonomous, it's a bit difficult. If I just travel to the mainland inside the same country, all of a sudden there are like supermarkets and big stores. Not many of them and not all over the place, but there are some, and I was super amazed that they are there, that it is possible and what you can buy there. And then when I came back to Europe, I was like, holy moly. I mean, you can buy stuff everywhere all the time. Wherever you go, everything is around buying something. May it be food, or may it be drinks, or may it be entertainment, or may it be, I mean, how many places there are where you can buy new cars? I haven't seen any new car in Zanzibar at all. And what I realized is that the luxury does not make us happier. I think the opposite. Luxury is a luxury as long as you don't have it. As soon as
Yes.
you have it, you take it for granted, and then you fear of losing that. Imagine a person in a normal city, Western world city, and you run out of hot water. I mean, they freak out if they can't have the hot shower in the morning, because they expect to be hot water coming out of the wall. And if you're living in a country where you don't have a shower, so where you do bucket shower, and all of a sudden there is a place with a shower, it's like, wow, cool, it's a real shower. And
Yeah.
and when it's so I was at one place where the tank for the shower was standing in the sun, and it was a hot shower, and I loved it so much. And I was not worried or angry when I went back to my place and did not have the hot shower, because I
You
didn't
appreciate
take
the small things.
yeah, I didn't take it for granted. And um, I realized that I was happier there because I did not see so many things that I don't have or don't own. I missed new iPhone launches, for example. So I didn't
Yeah.
worry about not having the newest iPhone because I didn't know there is one. So, and the few things that I could possibly buy, most of them were somehow food related, I could buy if I wanted. So I had the feeling that I have more than I need. Because everything that I could attract me out there is something that I already had or that I could buy at any time that I wanted. Back in Europe, there are so many possibilities and purchase options that even with all the money in the world, I couldn't buy all of that. Because you also need the time for that. I mean, I could buy that, and then okay, you own it, but it's still in Australia.
Exactly.
If you,
And it's never going to make you happy. All those things
because
are never going to make you happy at the end of the day.
because it's not the fact that you own it; it's the things that you can do with it. So the doing is what makes you happy. So these were some very interesting findings for me. The one is having more doesn't make you happy. Realizing that you have more than you need, and that can be on all different levels. That is what makes you happy. Comfort doesn't make you happy. It's more the opposite. It very often distracts you. And not the owning of something, but the usage of that. So it's always the actions, like what do you do throughout your day? That's what makes you happy. Is it that I own these stocks, or is it that I still own the stocks, and what I did is I took the day off and went running? That's what makes you happy. The going out in the nature, running, meeting friends, going to a nice dinner, whatever your personal motivation is. So it's about
the byproduct of what you have.
Which came to another conclusion to me, or occurred, that what makes happy is not reaching a goal, but being on the right path. If I take the sailboat, for example, I want to cross an ocean. If I hate the sailing itself, if I hate the crossing, then reaching that destination probably won't make me that happy, because then it's just, the stress is just over. But if you enjoy your journey, then you have all of a sudden 2 weeks of joyful sailing, even if it is difficult at some times. And I personally struggle with that. It's not always easy for me. I have to remind myself, or I have to be reminded every once in a while, because maybe I'm taught, or maybe I'm wired into that direction, that you have to achieve something, you have to get to a place, you have to fight and reach your goals. I never learned to appreciate what I have and where I am right now. Which brings me to the society right now. And I ask, well, what do you mean about society? Because I want to know, are you talking about the Australian society, or are you talking about the German, or the somewhere
just
in
the
Africa?
humans in general, the humans in general. But so I know, like, obviously, you know, the community in Africa, the continent of Africa, have a different view on what makes them happy. And they're, as you said, they're happy with so much less than what a Western,
Nowadays,
cars,
you have the phones, and you have the internet, and all of a sudden you can see what other people have if you are scrolling through your Instagram or your TikTok. Or in Africa, very often it's mainly Facebook. Sometimes they think the internet is Facebook, because the Facebook has some agreements with a lot of African carriers that if you buy half a gigabyte of internet, Facebook is included unlimited. Yep. So half the gigabyte is gone super fast, and then you have still Facebook running for the entire month. And so if they want to look something up in the internet, they just go into Facebook. Yes, and so they see what is possible, and what you could possibly own, and I see that their happiness, or their need to own things, grew a lot. And when I look at the societies, the Western societies, so there's one, on the one hand, my parent generation, who grew up having just very little, and then for their entire life everything's getting bigger and faster, and the income is increasing, the house is increasing, the house sizes is increasing, so everything went up, 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 up in their world, and all of a sudden they are hitting a plateau, and they see that the world is not getting bigger anymore. And for them, I see a big frustration. So they don't realize that happiness lies in the little things. They just worked for getting more and more and more and more and more, and they thought it's making them happier. And all of a sudden, they are hitting a plateau, and they take that for granted, and they are frustrated that it's not going up anymore. Then you have the middle segment that still have that same mindset, but somehow they have to work more and more and more to achieve the same thing that their parents did, and they just can't keep up with it. And I see a lot of people in that segment like questioning these beliefs, and they say, is this really what I want, or what else could be there? So I think it's splitting, and you can see if you look at the voting results. I mean, be it in the US or in Europe, you have a tendency for very progressive woke people, and then you have the super conservative people that are looking backwards, and they are drifting apart from each other. And then you have the even younger ones, and now there are I was probably among the last generation that did not have access to social media while our brain was growing. So before
Oh,
we are
yeah.
before we were fully grown up. So I had to call somebody on the landline, and that person had to be at the house in order to pick up the phone, because there wasn't even a mailbox. So you called, and either they picked up or they did not, and you had to be quick because it was like super expensive. So there was like, if you talk 10 minutes on the phone, there was €1 or something like this. So you just talk, hey, can we meet? Yeah, where and when? And then you had to be there because you couldn't change it. That's one thing. The pace was much slower. And then the constant social media feed that showed you what everybody else has did not exist.
But I think it still did, in the sense that there were still newspapers, there was still radio, there was still your ideal image of the American dream or the Australian dream or whatever it may be.
Yes.
I guess maybe if we could draw reference to your journey and when you first had your big adventure out of the corporate world, what was your moment where you're like, something's not adding up here? I've got these clients that I'm coaching, and I'm trying to, resonate and coincide with them and their beliefs, but they're not matching my own. Do you have a moment that you're just like, I might need to do a 180?
Yeah. And I would like to go back to the statement before, because you said, well, you could have the comparison, and yes, that's true, but you did not have it constantly. So,
True.
and that is something that I wanted to point out: the constant distraction. So you can pick up it's almost always with you. You can
So
always pick it
easy.
out of yeah. And before that, you had to go down or out. You had to go to the kiosk. You had to buy the newspaper, go home, open it, and then if you closed it, the newspaper didn't keep ringing at you and showing you something new.
Kind of like how we connected,
Yeah.
we didn't have WhatsApp, we didn't have a platform to record this podcast on. And it was so easy for me to reschedule that, to reach out and say, my connection's not working.
And what
That's a distraction.
I'm not saying it's only good or it's only bad, because I could not live my life the way I do. I could not talk to you without that technology. I think it helps if we are super conscious with that, because what I see in the younger generation, I worked for a couple of years, the career service consultant for a major European business school and so these were super driven, super intelligent, motivated young people, and they were absolutely frustrated with themselves because they had all these opportunities. I mean, they have the opportunities of buying things. They had the opportunities of attention. What do you spend your time with? And they had the opportunities of the job world, because they had such a good education that they could possibly pick anything there is. And they wanted to be a lawyer, a banker, a manager at the same time. And they and their passion was music or art, for example. And they didn't go for their passion. They didn't go for what they were good at, and they didn't have one possibility. In my parents' time, they didn't have thousands of options. They had two, and you either go for that one or for that one. And if you don't, then you don't make it at all. So they didn't question that. They went for that, and they stuck with it, and they fought for that. And what I see today is that I'm trying this out for a day or two, and then I'm shifting my attention again. And that is not making these people happy. And then at the same time, because you can use all the information that we have in a different way as well, there are some young people that are super conscious and super aware. And once again, I see it drifting apart. In general, most people going into university or coming out of university are struggling a lot. And they are not happy because they know their path. It's like everything is possible. And if you have everything, you have nothing.
Yeah, exactly. You can do anything, but you can't do everything. As someone,
yes, and that is the thing. You can do anything, but you can't do everything at once. And saying yes to something means you have to say no to everything else. And teaching people to say no to almost everything in the world, saying no to almost every person, almost every distraction, almost every job, so that you can focus on the one thing that you want to do. I think that is super, super, super helpful. And you asked me about whether there was a point where I thought that I have to do the 180 degree. When I asked myself that question, what I would like to do, I came up with an idea that I had in my mind. I would love to travel the world and stay at places long enough to feel home, so that I don't have the outside view, but that I can create an inside view of that area, that culture, that nature. And then I would like to share that with others. So through writing a blog, creating videos, or doing coaching, so that I can share my own opening of my horizon with others and help them see the world from different perspectives. And once I had that idea, I had no idea how to get there, but I gave a clear message to my unconscious mind. And our conscious mind is only able to pick up so many informations. It's the factor 1 million. So that's about 10 bits per second can be processed, and about 10 million bits per second is what our body receives. So most of the things are somehow processed unconscious, and the unconscious mind says a yes or no. Information important or not. And if it's important and you already have you see a ball flying to your head, so, maybe I'm going to catch it, or maybe I'm going, no, it's a direct movement. You go out of the way. So there are a lot of body responses. Like almost everything that you encounter is like an automated response. And that's why once you focus on a certain topic and you want to buy a yellow car, all of a sudden you see all these different yellow cars around. They were there before.
You bought the car and then you see the car all the time.
Yes. And this is because your focus of the attention is shifting. And once I gave my unconscious mind that idea and had no idea how to get there, all of a sudden I saw possibilities everywhere. And then I saw that possibility was created in my mind throughout half a year, that I wanted to go to the Sahara Desert, and that I wanted to do a crossing for multiple days on my own with a backpack. I had to train for that. I had to get fit and in shape and get the equipment for that. And then I had to do it, and I had to actually be there and face my fears and come out alive on the other side. And that was the first time in a really long time, or maybe ever, that I did something for myself. And most people around me, they thought, you're stupid, you're nuts. How can you do that to your parents? What if you die? How can you do that to your friends? Who do you think you are that you can do the crazy thing and other people have to go to work? A lot of offenses. I did this only for myself. And that feeling created something.
It's
And I wanted to have that feeling again. So I was looking for opportunities to have that feeling. And all of a sudden I saw just that, opportunities. And I saw the opportunities to work from home and not to go into the office. I saw the opportunity to buy an interesting old caravan and travel with that while working. I needed somebody to be reachable every single day. So I just split up my work. I had an assistant. I had somebody work for me, I think 1 to 3 hours every day to do like the stuff that had to be done on a daily basis. So I created possibilities for me to be on the road, to see the world. And it wasn't a corporate job the one day and living on a sailboat at an anchorage bay the next day. So this is between these two situations were 10 to 15 years. And it were the small steps because I could only see the opportunities that I already allowed myself to see. If somebody lived a life that's completely different than mine, I could admire that and think, wow, I would really like to do that. But it didn't create an opportunity because I had no idea how to get there. But shifting the way I work and where I work and moving away from Germany first to Switzerland and then to Zanzibar and then to the open sea, it came in steps.
Combination of it all. And your reality is not going to be the same as someone else's. Yes, you can admire what they've done and what they've accomplished, but you are only looking at it from an outside filter. You're looking at it for what you'd do if you had those opportunities from their point of view. But your story is going to be different. Do you think, yeah, you go, sorry.
Yeah, and the other stories only look extraordinary as long as they are not your own story. Because if you are having a 9-to-5 job, for example, and you see somebody living an adventurous life, you think it's super extraordinary, and you think these people must feel great every day because they are living this extraordinary life. Once you do that yourself, or once I did that myself, I did not see the 9-to-5 towards the adventurous life. No, it was just a tiny shift here. And if it's a tiny shift every single day, you can change your entire life around within 1 year. But what happens is a year later, your life still feels normal because you know you didn't do something extraordinary. No, you just went one step, like hiking Kilimanjaro.
In front of the other.
Yeah. When I hiked Kilimanjaro, there was a point when I thought, I can't reach it. No way I make it to the top. It's so difficult. I was so out of breath. I was breathing so hard. And I just focused on the next step. Okay, one more step, one more step, one more step, one more step. And I went in some kind of a trance. And at some point, I eventually reached the summit. And life is the same. So you just put one foot in front of another and you evolve. And what happens is you take yourself with you wherever you are. So when I reached the summit of Kilimanjaro, everybody was hugging each other and crying. And that moment felt great. But when I look back, no, it wasn't extraordinary. I just put one foot in front of another. I felt chilly for most of the time. I reached it. And when I was up there, I just thought about getting down again. So it wasn't that extraordinary. And I struggled to appreciate that because I thought back then I want to live the extraordinary life because I thought then I am extraordinary and that I feel extraordinary. But what happened is it's just
This
little
life.
me. It's just me. It's still me. It's still the little child that loves to read about adventures and wants to be extraordinary. And now I'm here and my life feels absolutely normal because it is my routine. It is my normality. And sometimes, especially if I go back to Germany and meet my friends, and if I see the life that they are living, like, holy moly, it's different.
It's different, but that's okay.
Yeah,
Do
it
you
is
think
different.
that's
Yeah, it's
your
okay for them. It's not
it's
okay
okay
for
for
me.
them, and
Yes.
it's okay for you to live this
Yeah.
ordinary but extraordinary in other people's eyes life. Do you think that that's been like with so many different coaching, personal coaches, mindset coaches, trainers, fitness trainers, boat builders out there, that that's been a good point of difference for you in this landscape? That you've gone out and had a corporate life, but then you've done all these little decisions, made all these little steps on the way to these adventures that you can then, I guess, empathize and work out a plan for your clients?
We as humans have the tendency to grow through failure. We can evolve through doing things right, but if we do things only right without, and this is a lot of successful people and a lot of successful missions, they look like they did everything right. But what they did is they made a lot of micro adjustments. Maybe they didn't do the one really big failure, but a big failure only comes from ignoring all the small failures on the way and heading into a wrong direction and then don't seeing the big mistake and then all of a sudden it hits you. So, and then even if that happens, it's not a big problem. I mean, it's a big problem when it happens to you. But if you look at it from a life perspective, then the question is not whether you fail big. It's the question on how you respond to that. Are you willing and able to see that and draw conclusions and work on those? And some people are better in failing soon and often. So it's like the thousands of small failures and readjustments every day. And from the outside, it looks like a straight line up, but it is like this. It's like a stock, like the stock market. So for the life that I live right now, having this corporate life and living in Berlin was a wrong decision. And I made a couple of decisions where I lost a lot of money, time, and energy. I made a couple of wrong decisions, business wise, and they were catastrophical for me when I took them. And looking back, I came to appreciate that. For example, marrying the wrong woman for me, obviously. And I think how stupid was I that I had these expectations back then. But obviously, that was the best decision that I was capable of back then. And probably,
something that you needed to learn.
yes, and probably I would not be able to make better decisions now if I hadn't failed there. And so that's the thing with everything else. Yeah, I needed to have the corporate job. I needed to be the headhunter. I needed to have the suit job, only to find out that this is not for me. And while I was on that path, I thought I have to figure everything out. I have to know it right. At the beginning of my coaching career, it was the same. I thought people come to me because they are seeking answers and they want me to give them the answer. So I thought I have to figure it out and I have to get it right. And that did not make me a better coach back then. At some point, I realized that I had some really good conversations with people that knew, that had so much more experience and knew everything about their life better than me, that I couldn't give them advice. But I could stay curious and keep asking them questions. And now, with having been on these different life adventures and having seen so many failures in my own life, I know I don't know it better. I know whatever I do doesn't have to be the right thing for you. At some point in my life, I took decisions for myself and I had to figure out a little bit later, hey, this is not the right decision for me. So that gave me a lot of distance to the right decision, if you can call it that. And this is why I'm not helping my clients to make the right decision. I'm helping my clients to make a decision. And then,
facilitating it for them.
yeah, that I push them, I coach them, I question them into a situation where life is not happening to them, but where they are making decisions for their own life, not knowing if it's the right decision. What I will do is I will keep helping them to re-question their own decisions. So it's not, because it is a process. It's not it's success and happiness is not a place to go to. It's a way of getting somewhere. I mean, happiness is not when you are there. Happiness all the way there.
If you were really honest with yourself and sat with your thoughts and feelings, are you truly happy in what you're doing at this minute? Can we get a response from Flo?
Well, you can tell that I'm not answering right away, and maybe that is exactly the reason that brought me here. I feel driven a lot of the time, and I have a tendency not to appreciate where I am. That's why I didn't stuck with my first life and not with my second and not with my third. That's why I had this urge to explore, and it is a curse and a gift at the same time. I would not have seen so much of the world, and I would not have experienced many of my most happy moments in life without that. But at the same time, it does not let me rest. So I need these moments of reflection every now and then to realize that I really, really like where I am and who I am and how I am. In daily life, I have the tendency to forget that and think that I have to be somewhere or go somewhere or do something. And this is why the question is a very clear yes and a very clear no.
Well, hopefully it's been a good reflection for the last hour or so that we've been chatting on all your adventures, and that you are bringing something out into the world. You're sharing your passions with people. And I think that in turn helps us realize and understand where we might be able to change something in our lives, even if it's one little step. It's on the road to the simplicity of happiness.
Yay.
Thank you. You've been listening to You Are the Compass with producer and host Jessie Clayton and Florian Hornig of Simplicity of Happiness. Thanks for joining us, Flo.
Thank you for having me.